Wayne and I have both been in the market since 2000, and we've seen some interesting changes, and we've also seen quite a bit staying the same. And what I would say is automation for me, and I say this to all of my clients, if I could go back in time with automation and fix some of the issues of my clients who wanted best practice, who wanted cleaner data, who didn't want to spend loads of money on loads of systems and didn't want to hire loads of people to do manual jobs that then you have to manage them, God, automation would have fixed quite a few issues and got us ready for some nasty times. Yeah. So we're going to obviously give you as much wisdom as we can today. If wisdom's one word for it. Experience, stand on our shoulders and look down might be a nice way of putting it. Okay, so evidently we're here to pitch as well. I'm not even going to be subtle about it. We do three things. We train recruiters either live or with our fantastic training platform. We also help them engage with Bullhorn more effectively. We call it Bullhorn first. So gone are the days where you have to buy 15 different systems just to stand still. Yeah, we are targeting it with our clients to get them focused on the system, their USP. Yeah, so it reduces reliance and all that other stuff that causes lag and invoices that you don't want to pay. And then ultimately recruitment automation, which for me genuinely is the missing link. Yeah, coupled with humans, you got a good business. So they're the three things that we stand for. Right then, we've got a few things to talk to you about today, so we might even go super quick. Yeah, so buckle up, people. And if your hot date, your ideal hot date, for me, it's Christopher Pratt, walks in the door in any moment, tell him to take a seat. Yeah, because trust me, I will. She says, I might fidget a bit, but I will tell him to take a seat. So we're going to look at what this year is like for you guys and gals. We're also going to talk about what we feel your plan could be for the rest of it, because it's someone mentioned Christmas yesterday. Someone mentioned New Year yesterday. Talking about relations, because that's what it's all about in recruitment, isn't it? Your job is to put people together and hope they stay together long enough that they have babies and give you loads more jobs and loads more candidates. Leads, obviously, yeah, sales, good stuff. And Wayne's going to give you 5 key automations that he thinks rock and roll. There are freaking loads. We're going to stick to 5. And if you want to know about any more, or you want any more inspiration, you come and talk to us. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to run a very quick poll because I'm always interested in what's going on in your beautiful minds. And I'm going to ask you a quick question. And of course, here we go. Can you see the poll coming up? As people can see that coming up, it says live on my screen. Absolutely. Just whack a button, grab your mice. Whenever you come on my webinars, you know I'm going to ask you to do some work. Yeah, I'm going to keep you engaged. So tell me what your answers are. I'm going to give you another 5 seconds. I am speaking to clients, some clients doing really well this year. Thank you very much. And I've got others that are going, this is like a year that I had a few years ago and it's not very nice. And others going, this is okay. We can do this.
It depends on the industry, isn't it, Lisa, that we've seen a lot of clients, depending on the industry that you work in, some are more buoyant than others.
And I would absolutely say that it's for some clients the complete opposite of last year, where they were falling over themselves to place jobs. And you'd have had to try really hard to mess it up if it's glib comment alert. This year, got to get down with the sales. But let's not focus too much on sales. Did I say that? Let's refocus my language. Let's focus a lot on sales. But, you know, with the other half of our brain, get ready to fill those freaking jobs, because we know that's going to happen. If we do this right, we're going to have another problem later on. Yeah, because trust me, just because you've had a few months of hard work in sales doesn't mean your sourcing genes have been sorting themselves out and your data's been sorting itself out and your recruiters have been sorting themselves out. So obviously we're fixated on that. Right. Always interested to know what's going on in the room. We take the temperature of clients on a regular basis, and some of those speech bubbles might mean something to you. Yeah, the typical recruiter often is just saying, make it stop. Although in my experience right now, if you've hired anyone in the last 3 years, the first year would have been what? As in hybrid, remote, lockdown, trying to train, trying to learn from by osmosis with people that you're not even in the same room. Whereas traditionally recruiters would have absorbed what was going on within the office and seen, experienced giants in recruitment doing it well, maybe messing it up, but fixing it really quickly. Yeah, they would have learned from that in traditional worlds, but not in 2020, 21. So the training and all of that stuff would have been difficult, and equally engaging with technology might have not been as simple. Yeah, if you'd have automated pre-2019, you probably busted out of the pandemic, like literally went, what was that? Didn't even notice. We've certainly had a couple of clients that had that benefit. Then the next year for recruiters, 2022, they had a booming year. So they wouldn't have necessarily, again, needed to really engage with best practice. They just needed to get stuff done. And those recruiters that were hired in the last 3 years might be struggling now because they don't have the muscle memory that actually helps them engage with best practice. And they certainly wouldn't have necessarily had 3 years worth of best practice experience. So automation really now has to take the strain, absolutely has to take the strain. And actually, so it should, because recruitment shouldn't be hard. It should just be sophisticated, and there is a difference. You serve a very specific purpose, and you're not just there to shove CVs in front of HR managers, because AI can do that. We need to use automation to allow us to cut through the AI BS and go, actually, we're consultants here. We solve problems. And in order to do that, we need a proper brain and a personality to do that. With performance, we know that whether the business is struggling with performance or the individuals within those businesses are struggling with performance, we know that. And there are lots of reasons. And there are certainly lots of excuses as to why some recruiters are not performing as hard and as fast and as well as we'd like. I do think sometimes the see you next Tuesday and the TWT just makes me smile. Those people that have those working from home patterns, I always thought that was a bit of a joke, but then it became a fact. The blame game as well. We hear about deadwood quite a bit, and sometimes I think, was it deadwood or was it just a plant that you didn't water particularly well? Or maybe being a 360 recruiter these days, it's a really tough gig, being absolutely perfect at every step of the process with potentially a very dirty data set and too much tech to be process driven. That's hard work. So again, automation is important, and when it comes to sales, we'll look at that in a second. But there are definitely some themes that Wayne and I saw 20 years ago. They're still around, yeah. And really, for me, that's productivity is still not where it needs to be, okay. And it's about being smart. But again, if you've got automation, you've got that tool now. It's about how you weaponize it. But we do regularly speak to clients who had automation for some time and are just not getting the results that we would like them to get from it. Plus, if you're constantly flicking from candidate to client driven processes, you need your automation to be ready. And you need your automation to be turn it up, turn it down, turn it up, turn it down. Because if you wake up too many clients and you cannot sustain them, your competitors will thank you very much for all that hard work that you did to ensure that the client then rings them instead of you because you let them down the first time. So that's something for you to think about as well. And that's again why sales is important, but don't take your eye off of clean data, sourcing, CV to interview prep, counter offer protection, all of the things that automation should be doing, as well as sales. And we'll do another webinar on those things as the months go on. Great movie came out last year and nicked one of my terminologies. How very dare they? I've always said if you're trying to do everything everywhere all at once, you'll get nowhere. And interestingly, the movie, if you've seen it, pretty freaking ace actually. But we have seen this a lot. Too many systems, not enough process. I've got too much data, not enough candidates. I've got too many clothes and absolutely nothing to wear. We all have these problems, don't we? Yeah, definitely too many opportunities. The average recruiter is still not placing all the jobs they've got. They might not even be placing 50% of the jobs that they've got. Maybe some of the jobs they've got they shouldn't have. Maybe there's something to think about there. And again, sales automation should improve your ratios massively. When I started in recruitment, 2 out of 10 vacancies were being filled by the average recruiter. They had 8 that just didn't do anything, right? This is no good. Oh no, it's 4 out of 10, sorry, bad ratios, 2 out of 5. And I say, right, well, get rid of 1 and then place 1, and then your ratios have magically improved. But the problem is the average recruiter finds it very difficult sometimes to say no. Most recruiters are quite helpful creatures, so saying no isn't part of their retinue. And also that fear of missing out can be a real problem. But automation doesn't have that emotional chip. Yeah, it works on data and it works on facts, which we kind of need at the moment, don't we? Because the world's become quite an emotional place. So I'm a big fan of, and I read around a lot of this, AI is scaring some people right now, and certainly some industries are taking to it like a duck to water and also kicking the duck out of the water as well at the same time. I'm saying to my clients, if you can train your staff and automate their process so much that whatever's left is what the human can really excel at, and solving problems and really getting under the skin and the DNA of your clients and really understanding what works, educating your clients as to what works. So they're not just giving you jobs. That is the future of recruitment for me. And actually, that's also the past. That's what we used to do before we became so dependent on data and systems that we forgot what the process was. I don't want to sound like an old woman, but I've been there and done that. So again, whatever prevents a consultant consulting, you need to automate it, and sales is definitely in there, because bashing the phone these days, it don't work anymore. So I want you to be thinking throughout this webinar and future webinars that we'll send you details to, where could you point the automation laser and neutralize the pain? Where could you do that? Getting quite visual now, aren't I? Maybe it's a lightsaber if you're into Star Wars, who knows? Because the world has become quite an unproductive place, and recruiters are definitely struggling with not enough time. So I'm going to hand over to Wayne now. Now I'm basically the warmer-upper today. I'll put myself on mute. I'm going to let Wayne run the show, and I'm just going to basically be his assistant, clicking on things. Keep us posted on, though, if you have any questions, and we'll do our best. Over to you, Wayne.
Thank you very much, assistant. So before we start talking about what's your plan, I want to ask a very quick poll and ask you what's automation doing for you currently? And I've trained a lot of you already, but ideally you should be understanding the ROI you get from it. So at least if you can launch that, that'd be great. A couple of seconds with that. So ideally that it should be making you money, you should be realizing the benefits, but not everyone does. And some of those reasons why we don't understand what it's doing for us, sometimes we don't have a detailed enough plan, or we're trying to do too much and we've got this scattergun approach that's happening. So you want to close that down, Lisa, that'd be great. Do we get to see results? Who knows? Brilliant. There we go. Some of you, 25% of you saying it's definitely having a positive impact. 41% of you think it's having an impact. 14% of you don't think it's having an impact. This will help you today, definitely. Those of you, 25% of you roughly, are thinking of having it. So this will help give you some structure around why you potentially do definitely want automation. Thanks, Lisa. So if we look at, ironically, I pinched the same slide as Lisa. It's almost like we're on the same wavelength at the same time. Projects stall in automation. When I've trained some of you, I've told you that automation is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So generally what you tend to happen is whether or not you're starting at, you're starting your implementation, you're finishing your implementation, or you've implemented for quite a while. Projects stall because of generally there's lots of ideas, but not enough focus, not enough action is being taken, or you're trying to do lots of different things. And sometimes that's more difficult to try and bring the business along. Automation is a transformation project. You can be influencing and directing and changing workflows across your business. So you really need to be focused around where are the issues, where are the challenges, where are the opportunities. Lisa, next slide. So you need to focus on the pain, focus on the issues, focus on the challenges, try and group them together. Yeah, by grouping them together, then you'll have more of a reason why you could basically educate your recruiters. We're doing all of this wonderful BD stuff so that we can generate more warm leads for you, or you have to spend less time on the phone getting lots and lots of no's. We want to make sure that when you pick up the phone, you have a good, meaningful conversation. You want to remove the excuses for why recruiters potentially are not achieving the things that they want to do. We did an analysis on a client recently, 100 recruiters, each of them send out on average about 10 call left message emails a day. That calculated out to be about 3,000 minutes a day that was being sending one email. So through an automation, we allowed the recruiters to speed that process up. And we gave back the business 2,750 minutes a day. Now, as a business owner, that equated to almost 450 days a year just by removing one simple email, one simple process. So always be focusing about how you can monetize your data and how you can educate your business but have a focus, get a plan together, get your strategy together, and focus on specific areas, like we're doing today on business analysis. I brought that in there because it's one of the biggest problems and stumbling blocks that I see clients have when they're trying to implement. Okay. The next one is something that's really important for business development. It's not an automation, but it's part of what you need to do within your Bullhorn system. You need to be able to map your relationships. Now, when I start working with clients, when we start doing our turbo coaching, our turbo build programs, what we tend to see is that within the Bullhorn database, everyone is set up as active. Yeah, that's candidates and also sales contacts. And if you're unable to differentiate who are your prospects and who are your accounts, then therefore the automation process means that it becomes a little bit blurred. Does everyone get the same messaging? You want to be able to differentiate those. So that talks about personas. If you're into marketing, you understand about persona mapping and buyers' journeys. And in that, when you start thinking about your automations and you start thinking about those various different journeys you want to take people on, you need to be able to build your lists in automation that says, here is a prospect, and this is the journey we're taking them on. Please, if you do the next slide. So here's a very rough marketing funnel, as we call it. This is the buyer's journey. There's awareness, there's consideration, they're looking, they're thinking, they've made a decision, and then obviously you get your jobs, and then you need to retain them. So if your Bullhorn data isn't quite set up in this way, then I recommend it's something that you consider. So Lisa, if you go down to the next slide. Within this, this is a rough outline of what I think those stages and those buyer personas are for sales contacts. They are prospects. Well, if they're a prospect, then it's all about awareness and marketing. Yeah, so that's where your marketing team can take over that responsibility. I'm working with a client recently, they don't use leads. So marketing going to take ownership of the leads entity in Bullhorn. Nice little information that I'm going to read on to in a minute. But that means that they're going to take ownership of that. They're going to run leads through the automations. And eventually they're going to be able to push information out to the recruiters and say, these people are engaged. So it's down to the recruiters now to try and convert them. That's where automation can then start introducing other concepts like notifications. Have you spoken to these sales contacts this week, this month, this quarter? Once you've got them converted, you have jobs, and it's all about sourcing and applicant tracking. So again, the journey that you take the recruiters on, it's all about fulfilling those jobs. You want to get them to placed. That's where you really want to be. Once you've got them to place, it's all about onboarding and specifically about account management. You don't want your placed contacts to be at risk. So 6 months after no placements, then therefore they could go at risks, and maybe 12 months later on, they become at lapsed. So I think if you can map out those personas in your Bullhorn database, some clients use status, some clients use a separate field, which eventually morphs into status. But have those in there, because that will then help you with your business development and account management activities. Okay, next slide. I mentioned leads. Leads is coming. I'm very, very excited by leads. Leads is the entity that enables you to say, I've got a rough idea of somebody that I want to speak to. Well, there it goes. Recruiter adds it or somebody adds it. That means marketing can then take over that and start drip feeding content to those people. It's coming in October, I'm led to believe. No other delays as far as I'm aware. So I'm really excited by leads. I think it's going to be revolutionary in terms of being able to market information out there. If you're a corporate Bullhorn user, then obviously you can still use the sales contact, but just give them a status of lead. Yeah, there's obviously some ways around that. So just a very quick poll. Who uses Bullhorn leads? And I'm not talking about opportunities. I'm talking specifically about leads. Just a bit of information for me, because I'm really interested to know. I know some clients that use it really, really well. Some people kind of use it, and some people just don't use it at all, and they still use the old contact process as well. Okay, that should do for that. Lots of people, 50% of people use, I've got it, but they're not utilizing it. Now, what I'm about to show you is something that you can start thinking about. There's probably other reasons why you don't use it. But if you have leads are people related. They're sales contact or candidate related leads. They're not job related. However, I do know clients that have also added some fields into leads to try and make them job related as well. Thank you, Lisa. If you want to move on to the next slide. Some things that you can do to prep for leads. First and foremost, you need to understand what the leads entity is. So go and check it, play around with it, have a look at it. Have a look at our recruitment hit journeys in terms of looking at leads. There's some information in there about how you can utilize leads and the benefits of that. You need to map out your workflow icons across the top of the page. So something we did recently, here's a nice little tip. You start off with nobody as a prospect, that's your first workflow icon. And then as soon as somebody opens up your email, they've moved on, they've engaged with you a little bit. So that's another workflow icon. Then they go to your website, that could be another workflow icon. So you can then start visualizing as somebody, a recruiter, saying, these are my leads, what are they doing currently? Well, where you want to get them to is, let's have a conversation. Let's have a proper conversation and figure out whether or not we can help you, or whether or not I'm just wasting my time and you need to go somewhere else. So that's one thing that you can do with your leads entity, map out your workflow icons. You also probably, some of you are using it, some of you are not, you've probably got an awful lot of data in there. Now's the time to probably clear it out and get it down to a base level. Ideally, maybe completely clear it out, or at least figure out what's old data you no longer need. If you're planning on using leads, then you need to train your recruiters. So you need to get out there, you need to tell people what the benefit is, and also how it's going to work with them and how they're going to utilize it. So training is always that difficult part of getting everyone to engage with it. My recommendation there is leadership. You need to take ownership of that. You need to make sure that your recruiters are actually engaging with it and they understand the benefits. And then finally, you need content. So now's the opportunity to start thinking about white papers and imagery and also jobs that you want to send out, etc., etc. Case studies, testimonials, get your content ready. Failing that, if you need some help, reach out to us. We've got some ideas and support that we can do for you with that. So leads, hopefully you guys will see some real benefit in terms of leads and what it's going to be able to do for you. Okay, let's talk about some really good automations that are business development focused. Now, the obvious one that I'm not put in here, because you're probably already doing this, is drip feeding content to sales contacts. Ideally prospects, drip feeding them, taking them on a journey. There is a blueprint, I think it's called the Torlan sales process. Have a look at that one first and foremost, and then go away and drip feed content to those people. If you really want to, segregate those journeys as well. The one I love is clients at risk. Now, it used to be a blueprint, it's not there anymore, but you can still utilize it, you can still build it. The benefit I think that clients at risks gives you, thinking about those journeys, are those placed clients which are you're not communicating with, you're not doing your account management process. And there's probably a reason why you're not doing that account management process. One of them could be you've just forgotten. You've got too many accounts, you've got too many clients that you're working with. The other common problem I see is ex-recruiters who have made placements and then nobody's transferred the data. So therefore, you end up with a big list of clients that nobody's communicating with. One of our clients, we implemented this for one of our clients for a specific team of people, the public sector team. And they didn't realize that of the thousands of placements they'd made the year before, there were 323 contacts that weren't being communicated with. Yeah, it was director awareness that they were unaware that all of a sudden they went, oh my God, we need to do something. So if nothing else, you can use the clients at risk just to escalate that immediately to your directors or your team leaders and say, you guys should be really focusing on that. Yeah, and then your team leaders or directors, or whoever, can sit down with the recruiters and say, right, what's the plan? How are we going to get in contact with these people? So considerations make your leaders aware. You can tailor it to teams, regions, or specific roles if you're working in a specialist area. You need to make sure you have escalation points in place. So the classic one that we would normally build is send an email to a recruiter, a notification to a recruiter, give them a day or a week to implement it. And if that person hasn't done it or they haven't added a note or whatever, it drops them out of the automation, then you can escalate it to a manager or a director. Yeah, that way you're giving some ownership to the recruiter, allowing them to get on with it. If they don't do it, then escalate it. The other thing that you need to define is the lack of activity. So no placements would be a logical thing. We've not had any jobs, we've had no submissions, and classically you'd also include there no notes, but there is a risk around that. If you want more information on that, let me know. So clients at risk, love clients at risk. It's a really great way of generating and keeping your business development and account management process in place. Placements not managed. Mentioned it a second ago. Your ex-recruiters here in the UK, the attrition rate for a recruitment company is around about 30%-ish. Used to be 42% was the figure. I think it's dropped down to about 30%, but that's still 1 in 3 of your recruiters every single year that are no longer in your business. So when they leave, how do you manage those placements? Well, invariably, a lot of those placements go untouched. They just get forgotten about. That relationship that recruiter had is now moved with them, probably over to your competitor or another business. So placements not managed is a really good way of building an automation that will remind you of the people that you need to go and speak to. It will help you protect your fees. It will also help your silver medalists turn into gold. So those people whereby they didn't quite get the placement, you can look back at those people as well and try and generate those candidates and try and get them into jobs as well. But success stories, newer recruits, if you've got somebody who's left a desk and you're able to put somebody into that desk, you can migrate the data across, you're giving them some warm account calls straight away. They're able to hit the ground running quicker. That means they'll make more placements quicker as well. So it's a good positive thing, some success stories there. Considerations, you should have a starters and leavers process. With my IT director hat on, when somebody leaves the business, we have a checklist. That checklist should also include, how do I manage the data and where am I pushing that data in my Bullhorn system? You can leave it alone, but make sure that you do go back to it and make sure that it is processed and it is migrated across to somebody. And the other thing as well, escalation points. How do I push this up to a manager or a director, or a VP if you're in the States? But you need that escalation point. You need somebody to be taking ownership of the managers of the placements that are not being managed. Okay, onboard and engaging hires. I put this in here. Everyone does it, or we certainly do it during our implementations, but we normally focus on candidates. Now, there's a really good journey and a really good reason why you'd want to do it with onboard and engagement hires for sales contacts, hiring managers. You want them to basically say that they've had a great experience. So we had a client recently that did it for a lot of their placements for the sales contacts. The feedback was XXX company. Do you know what? They're really, really attentive. Yeah, more so than the Randstads and the Michael Pages that make a placement and disappear and gone out the way. So in that instance, sometimes it's a case of just making sure that you really focus in on what it is you're trying to do and what it is you're saying to those clients. Get the account management processes in there, etc., etc. You'll also pick up leads. You'll also be able to have reasons to call those people. So it'll help protect your future revenue and relationship. Considerations, it works really well if you're working with hiring managers, but less so if you're dealing with HR and VMSs. So you can use suppression lists in order to try and remove those people from that list. So you're only dealing with the hiring managers and they're getting benefit from that. The other thing as well that we get pushed back on, or the recruiters say, some of our clients don't like us to communicating with them. Well, you just need to educate your recruiter. This is part of your customer success program. Want to keep in contact, make sure everything's working well. The final one that I love is sales contacts website tracking. Again, it's a 30-second automation to build, pretty much. The benefit is that you're getting an awful lot of marketing ROI. Who's visiting our website? Why are they going to the website? What are they looking at? Yeah, invariably, if you'll get a sales contact that's just looking at your landing page, they're interested in your business. They're looking at your case studies and testimonials page. They're trying to see what sort of work you've done and what sort of feedback you've got. They're looking at your contact us page. They're almost ready to buy from you in some circumstances. So they're looking at, okay, how do I contact these people? That's when you can start forwarding those sort of notifications off to recruiters and say, look, Johnny's been looking at all these wonderful pages. Why don't you give them a call? The other great thing as well is that sometimes you're not even aware that your client that you may not have spoken to for a little while is looking. They're looking around your website. Are they aware? Are you aware that they're looking to recruit? Or alternatively, are they actually looking for a job themselves? So as a recruiter, there was a client of ours who there was a long-standing client that they were working with looking at live jobs. The recruiter picked up the phone and spoke to the client, and lo and behold, he was actually looking for a new role. So they were able to place that client and then get the backfill opportunity with that as well. Okay. Finally, managing events. So if you do events, if you do your golf days or your Formula One days, or you do webinars, you can build out a lovely journey that basically promotes the events, manages the attendance leading up or during the event. And then after that, you can leave all your leave behinds. The key consideration there is you're building a fixed date-based automation. I saw one today whereby they promoted that they were going to attend this conference, but it was just one step and there was no engagements, there was no surveys involved, there was no link back to the registration pages, etc., etc. So events can be really managed beautifully through Bullhorn automation, and you can get lots and lots of market intelligence from that. There's also clients that capture the information about what they're looking at and what they're interested in. So have a field in Bullhorn. You know, what does this person or this sales contact, what they're interested in? Interested in football. Great, we've got a football event coming up. Let's track to see who we can pull out from that list and promote that particular information to them. So managing events, I think, is a beautiful way of managing automations and creating business development opportunities.
Now, obviously, we're keeping this webinar to a cute 30 minutes, and I'm aware that we're going over. Sometimes on these webinars, people have a crazy amount of questions. You're going to hear from me in the next 24 hours, but you also have my email address. Any questions that you've got about automations that you've got, ideas that you've got, or you just want to pick our brains, evidently, we're really keen to talk to as many clients as possible. We get upset when we hear that you've got a Ferrari and it's on the drive with dust on it. And a lot of you said you think it's making you money. Well, that's not good enough in today's market. Let's get it doing something. Let's make it self-sustaining and driving and exciting. This isn't just software. This is transformation time. The other thing that we want you to really think about as well is we're a big fan of automate whatever you can so the consultants can do their jobs. But trust me, whatever you do, don't assume that once you've automated and removed all the admin and cleaned up the data and created these funnels, it doesn't mean the recruiters might just say, oh, thank God, now I can do my job properly. They're still going to need some help to engage with the process and engage with those automations. So keep us posted. We're evidently on a mission for Bullhorn. First, we have a webinar tomorrow at 11:30. You will have been told about this in some stage, but you're busy creatures. Please let us know if you want a place. We'll get you booked on. Again, you can message me via email, whatever works for you, pigeons. And of course, some of you are already using our Recruitment Hit platform with our Bullhorn training or automation, analytics, LinkedIn, recruitment training. We'd love to give as many free trials out as possible because we're on a mission to get recruiters more productive. So thank you very much, everybody, today. Make sure you've got your takeaways from this. Think about what your plan is. Don't do everything everywhere all at once. Your goal is not to make money for your competitors. Be strategic as well as tactical. And call us if you need help. Call us if you don't need help. Tell us how you're doing. We'd love to hear from you. Right. Good luck, everybody. Have a great end of week. We're in the final furlongs of September. Everyone seems to have woken up from their lovely summer holidays. You'll hear from me in the next 24 hours with some information about this webinar, but reach out if you've got any questions. Take care, everyone.